I did want to ask about something before I forget because I do have a clip to play for Lee. Lee loves a good clip. But this you mentioned living in a shelter, and I kind of didn't want to get past it because I've always been curious. What was that like? What does it look like when you get there? What? Because I only hear two things about shelters before you start talking is one, there it seems simple, but it's way more difficult to get in. And then two, it's not not that I think it would be nice, but it's like they could do some improvements in there. Tell me about your shelter time.
Yeah, so two different shelters, and they were very different from each other, but yeah, they are actually hard to get in. I forget which one's first, but I did want to mention um I ended up going getting kicked out of, well, not getting kicked out of, but leaving one of my ex's place in Whitby. We literally moved in there for like a month and a half, and she was driving me so fucking insane, arguing with me like
Sure.
nonstop, that eventually I was like, you know what, tomorrow morning I'm gonna fucking just leave. And so I packed up my luggage, and I left, and I initially wanted to go to a shelter in Brampton because that was near my that is near my grandparents.
Oh, okay.
Um, my grandma actually died yesterday, but
Oh shit, man, that sucks.
yeah, yeah, no, it
Yeah,
does
yeah.
really suck. And I had to go. I didn't have to, but I planned to go. I got reservations to go to Mandarin, and on the way there, I'm like crying, and I'm like, but I still want to eat mussels and shrimp. But
You know, I
uh,
usually cry when I leave Mandarin.
yeah,
Um,
knowing like, oh, how much fucking money I spent, and I'm gonna feed Lee with his grandma emoji. Anyways, the shelter. I wanted to go to the one in Brampton because it was near, relatives, and so I show up there and I'm like, oh dude, like I'm homeless, and they're like, oh, where are you like based out of or something? And I'm like, dude, I'm homeless. What do you mean? Like
where's your
I don't
where's your
have
home base?
I don't have an address. It's like, oh, where was the last place or whatever? And I'm like,
Young and Bloor.
I'm like, I don't know, Toronto, dude. What are you talking about? And they're like, okay, you can't go here. You got to go back to Toronto. And I literally traveled from Whitby
What?
through Toronto to Brampton. I'm like, dude, I got to go back to Toronto now. And they're like, no, no, my relatives are there. Like, it's Brampton. Like, my answer is Brampton. Like, nope, you said Toronto, so you can't be here now. And I'm like,
That's
well,
fucking
what the
weird.
fuck? And so I go back. I go to Sutton House. It was the most decrepit thing ever, dude. The second shelter I went to, like there was a little bit of wait time, but they gave you like a room. The cot was shit. In
Yeah.
Sutton House, it was refurbished, barely refurbished, like old high school or something. So there's a bunch of cots set up in the old gym there, and people are like coughing and sneezing and shit. I couldn't sleep all night, but not even just that. It was one of the thin fabric cots, the one you'll
Yeah,
just
yeah,
like
yeah.
hang into. I'm hearing and seeing rats underneath, scurrying under my bed, under other people's bed, and I'm like, what the fuck? And then I wake up the next morning. I go to Tim Hortons with my computer, and I use the Wi-Fi there and find some uh,
Another.
some Asian landlord in Mississauga that's renting out a place. So I go there, and he's giving me like this weird runaround, like, oh, you could live with us or whatever. I'm like, I don't give a fuck. I could live anywhere. And then they're like, oh, actually, I have this other place. And I go there. It's like 12 guys in a like a semi-detached thing. And
Wow.
yeah, I know, each with their own like room. And I'm like, whatever. I'll just stay there for like a couple months till I find
Sure,
something
yeah,
better.
yeah, yeah. You got to do what you got to do. Yeah.
But the second place was a little bit better. That was for young adults in Brampton. I learned my lesson. I said I was in Brampton and shit. And I was just like, I forget exactly how old I was, but I was just in the cutoff of like being allowed into
Oh,
one of
age
those young,
wise. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
age wise. And yeah, I go there, and then in the morning I'm like sitting in like their public like area, their like rec room or whatever, with the TV and shit, just sending texts and stuff. And like all the other people there, they're like schizophrenic addicts. They're like fucking out of their mind.
Yeah, yeah,
And I'm
yeah.
like, oh man, this really fucking sucks. Um, but
No
that's
rats though.
No, I didn't have rats. I had my own room, and Sutton house
And
had separate
no,
rooms, but like,
and no annoying bitch girlfriend.
Yeah, that's
yeah,
true. The moral of the story is he'd rather have rats run under his neck than his
And that
shitty
fucking cunt
girlfriend.
in his ear anymore. Yeah.
dude, dude, dude. Life is hard, man. Life is like really
Oh,
not
it's fucking
fun
brutal.
sometimes. It is fucking brutal, man.